Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a part two of something that I started maybe 2 days ago. For those of you who are catching this for the first time, if you want to listen to the first part, you actually have to skip back 2 episodes because the episode that I did before this one was about DPs, display pictures on social media and on WhatsApp, and how that can affect how will I put it? How that can affect our ability to close the sale, even to start the conversation self. Because, some of us have funny looking DPs, and because of that, we can't even start off the conversation right, not to talk of even closing the sale. So, if you listen to today's episode and you want to hear the part one, because today's episode is going to be about podcasting, content marketing, establishing a personal brand, increasing your sales, all those sorts of things. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then because this will be a part two, skip yesterday's episode, which was about display pictures on WhatsApp and on LinkedIn and social media, and then listen to the episode that came before. So, that's a part two. Or rather, today's a part two, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Podcasting, content marketing, establishing a personal brand, growing your sales. Now, this is the correlation. Podcasting. Okay, you already know what a podcast is because obviously you're listening to a podcast. But just to fulfill all right, just let me define a podcast. Now, the way that I like to define a podcast when I'm talking to other people who have never heard of one or who never consume one, I just tell them that a podcast is a radio show over the internet. Once I put it like that, bam, everybody understands. Now, especially since, there might be some people who have heard me on the radio or heard that I actually have a radio show. So in that case, it kind of makes sense. So a podcast is just a radio show delivered over the internet. Now, some of you will complain and say, no, that is not a podcast. And you start talking about RSS feeds and technical requirements. I understand perfectly that my definition of a podcast is not technically correct 100%. But I'm not focusing on technical precision here. I just want people to be able to understand what a podcast is. Because you will meet some podcasters, because I'm a member of a group, that's the Association of Professional Voice Actors and something in Africa. And podcasters are a member of that group. And there's some people who continue to complain that, look, don't call those things on YouTube. Don't call them podcasts and not podcasts. But then I'm not getting into that debate. So a podcast is a radio show that is delivered over the internet. Then content marketing. Content marketing means when you put out valuable content over the internet. You put out good audio, good texts, good podcasts, good pictures, good whatever that is meant to get engagement from people who might be your potential customers. You want the people to engage with you over time, and hopefully over time you'll get the opportunity to start a buying conversation with them, and then you end up doing business with them. So that's content marketing. Now, the relationship between podcasting and content marketing is obviously podcasting, at least in my own opinion, is a kind of content marketing that we should be doing. And then, of course, growing sales. Now, the whole point of any kind of content marketing and the whole point of podcasting is eventually we want to make sales. That's how we're talking about it on this podcast, which is primarily concerned about sales. Then let's see what else. Okay, personal brand. Now, personal brand. Let me just define personal brand as your reputation, what people think of you, impressions people have of you. And fortunately or unfortunately, lots of Nigerian business people are very conscious of building a personal brand in quotes, and they see podcasting as a way to establish a personal brand. Although I recommend that for those of you who are concerned about personal brands, you need to relax. You're putting the cart before the horse. You don't start by saying this is what my personal brand is. You actually start by running the business, by interacting with customers, by doing substantive things. Then, based on the interaction that you're having with your customers, you will now know exactly what it is that you like or that people like about you and things like that. And that is what will inform the organic growth of the brand. So like for me, I didn't start this podcasting journey saying I want to build a brand and this is what my brand will be. I just started the podcast. Over time, people started saying things like, your show is the best because it is practical. that other Nigerian podcasters are inspirational or gist or this or this or that, but your own podcast is practical. It's tactical. You're saying things that I can do tomorrow to grow my business. So that is where that expression came from. I didn't make it up. I heard it from someone, and I continue to say it again and again and again. And then, it's reinforcing my personal brand. I didn't sit down and think it up. I was interacting with people already, with customers from my consulting practice, with listeners of my podcast. And that is what I was hearing from you guys. That what you do is very practical. What you said today, I know that I can use it tomorrow when I show into the office. I'm going to call a meeting with the team. So that's where that particular phrase that I keep saying over and over came from. And so, yes, on my podcast, I want to deliver the kind of advice that you hear today, and then tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, when you get into the office, you call the boys and the girls, you call your team, you call your business partner, and you're going to be able to implement something. So that is the way to think about it. You should stop planning the brand before you start. Start the business first. Just move. Keep moving. As you move, as you learn, as you grow, as you interact, you get all the information that you need to start putting together the brand in place. So start the business and then move. When you have all the information you need, then you can now start talking to graphics designer, brand designer, and, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. It's not brand. Today, we're talking about podcasting. Now, the reason why is because there's someone who reached out to me, and this person is a COO. That's the Chief Operating Officer in the finance space. And in his business, what they do is they provide data and advisory services for people who are investing in the Nigerian stock market. Oh, sorry, by the way, just in case you haven't figured, if this is your first time listening, this is a Nigerian podcast. I'm not Ghanaian. Yeah, people ask me questions. I'm not Ghanaian. I'm not South African. And no, this is not Vuzi. I look better than the guy. He has more money than me, and I'm working towards getting Vuzi money. But no, this is not Vuzi. My name is Tavershima Ayede. I'm a former lawyer turned business consultant. I'm a Nigerian. And what I do over here on the podcast is every other day or every single day, I bring you guys business goodness. We try and solve business problems, and the focus is always on trying to solve problems through the lens of sales. What can we do that is going to bring more money into the business? Because when we have more money, our mind is chill and we can start solving other kinds of problems. So if you have a management problems in the business, if you're having discipline issues with your team and things like that, but at least money is coming in, your mind will be cool, and then you can start tackling one or two things. But then if your staff, they misbehave, and then there's management problem, there's accounting problem, there's this problem, and then money is not even coming in, your head will just be hot. You won't know what to do. So that is the focus of the podcast. Now, if any of you would love to connect with me, you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Reach out. I don't block anybody. Okay, well, I've only blocked one person. I don't refuse anybody. So reach out. Take advantage of free business advice. But just make sure you say it at the beginning of the message that what you're looking for is free business advice. The reason why I'm saying that is because there's one nigger that has entered into my inbox, and the guy just a mouth off. And, the instruction is clear. If you're looking for free business advice, just say so, and I will answer one question for you, and, we'll be cool. Stop trying to smuggle all other kinds of issues. So if you're looking for free business advice, that's not a problem. I'll answer one question and one question only. But if you want me to have an in-depth look at your business and try and solve, try and help you, work with you to solve whatever problems you might be facing in your business, then what we need to do is we need to sit down and have a proper consultation. And we need to know a lot about you, a lot about your business. What's the background? Where are you coming from? Where are you running to? What is the problem? How did the problem start? What kind of revenues are you aiming for? What kind of things have you tried in the past to solve this problem? What worked? What didn't work? It's going to have to be a plenty conversation. And for those of you who think I'm going to have that conversation with you for free, you guys are smoking some cheap weed, right? So if you want free advice, I'm cool with it. Very cool. Just say so from the beginning of the chat. I'll answer one question. If not, let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Don't be a criminal. Don't steal from people. All right. So where are we now? So this guy is a CEO in Niger financial space, data and advisory services for people who invest in the Nigerian stock market. So the guy now has come up with a podcast because he wants to use that to put himself out there The goal is to create distribution for his financial products and services that he and his partners are going to sell later on. Because remember, he's COO. So, of course, definitely, there's CEO, and then there's, how people arrange your things now: COO, CFO, CEO, C this, C that. So, plenty of other C's. So, yeah, we've been chatting a bit about the guy's podcast, and there are some issues that have been arising from these discussions that I want to come and share over here on the podcast, so that those of you who are thinking about these sorts of things, you're thinking about long form content, you're thinking about content marketing as a way of putting yourself out there into the world, you're thinking about podcasting as a means of doing that. There are a couple of things that I want you guys to be thinking about first before you. I want to make sure that you guys are thinking about a bunch of things first before you begin the journey, because okay, starting with imperfect knowledge is not bad, because I even prefer people who start than people who sit down and try and plan all the time. But still, if you know one or two things before you start your business journey, or your podcasting journey, or your content production journey, you know, go bad. It won't be a problem. So, so matters arising now in my conversations with this guy. I can't remember the name that I called him in the first episode in the part one. So for this part two, let's just call the guy Shinorambo. But I can't remember the first name. So if you listen to the other podcast and you hear the name that I called him, it's still the same guy, even though now I'm saying Shinorambo. And the only reason why I'm saying Shinorambo is not because the guy is a thief. It's just because Shinorambo was Yoruba, I think. I think Shinorambo was Yoruba. Very famous bandit, classic bandit. At least for those of us who grew up in Nigeria in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Some people say it was a Bini guy, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so I'll call this guy Shinorambo. So as we're yarning, just remember, Shinorambo is a COO, not his real name, in the finance space, and they provide advisory services for people who want to invest in equity and stock markets. Okay, so on the whole thing now, putting himself out there, it's a good idea. So using a podcast to put yourself out there, if you happen to be in the financial services sector, is a wonderful idea. It's a very, very wonderful idea. As a matter of fact, for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that my wife is currently writing her part 3 for the CFA. The CFA is the Chartered Financial Analyst exams. It's a pretty difficult exam, but I married an incredibly smart woman. So when it was part 1, yeah, she cleared it one time. Part 2, she aced it. Part 3, I know she's going to clear it. That won't be a problem. By the way, this is just an encouragement to those of you who are playing in the financial sector space. You want to get your exams like the CFAs. You've been hearing that, this thing is difficult, this thing is difficult. Just relax. Yes, the exams are difficult. All right? But there is a myth around these things that you have to be incredibly smart and okay, yes, you have to be smart. But I think discipline is more important than the smart aspect. Because my wife, like me, has a legal background. We both met at master's level. So that's the reason why, we're married today. So her professional background is in law. Her professional background is not in mathematics. And there are people who used to tell her that, you want to do CFA, okay, it's good, but you didn't study law, you didn't study accounting, how are you going to cope? So, as a family, we came up with a very, very realistic plan. The problem with those of you who want to take these sorts of exams, your international bar exams, like the New York bar or the whatever, or the UK bar or Canada bar, or you want to take the bar exams, those are the exams that people who are lawyers take so that they can practice in other jurisdictions, other countries. So the problem with those of you who want to take all these bar exams or the CFA exams is that you people give yourself unrealistic timelines. The exam is in March, and then you want to start studying in January. How? That's the problem. How? But if you give yourself a realistic goal, and the focus for my wife and I has always been, you will take a year and prepare for this thing. Just they read small every day. Whether it's 30 minutes every day, just be clocking at 30 minutes. If it's 1 hour, just be clocking at 1 hour. By the time 1 year don't pass, you'll be ready. You'll be fine. If you make first class, glory be to God. And I'm glad to see that my wife has finished these exams in the top, 20th percentile or whatever. So I'm glad. But for me, the focus was always that, look, Sha, we just want to pass this thing and want to acquire the knowledge. So for those of you, you failed Canada by exams 3, 4, 5 times, New York by exams 3, 4, 5 times, UK by exam 3, 4, 5 times. That is the problem. You're not disciplined enough and you're not giving yourself enough time to prepare. By the way, this is something that one of my professors in Obafemi Awolowo University told us during our undergraduate days was Dr. Idowu, constitutional law. He told us that I can't remember where he schooled. Was it Harvard? Anyway, I think he did some American schooling. And here he kept on warning us that look, when you go outside, it's different. That here, what we do in Nigeria is we do continuous assessment. So you do continuous assessment 1, assessment 2, assessment 3. So continuous assessment 1 is 20%, assessment 2, 20%, assessment 3, 20%. Even if you're rubbish, at least you will be scoring half, half, half. That way you've already gotten 30 marks. That means you're getting into the exam and the only thing you're looking for is 30 marks. That's all you're fighting for. Sorry, not 30 marks. What you're fighting for is 10 marks. So that when you add everything together, you get 40%. Because in Nigeria, 40% is pass mark. So, Dr. Udo used to warn us that look, when you go outside, it's not like that. You won't do continuous assessment 1, 2, 3. That for some of these exams, it is just one big exam, bam, at the end of the year, and you are fighting for 100% one time. So that strategy of you score half in continuous assessment 1, score half in assessment 2, score half in assessment 3, then you only score 10 points in the main exam, and then you scale through to the glory of God, as we have to say. That strategy is not going to work. So those of you who are like Shino Rambo, again, not his real name, in the financial services, wealth advisory, things like that, you want to pass your CFA, or lawyers, you want to practice in Canada, you want to practice in UK, you want to practice in America, you want to practice in New York, you want to practice wherever. Be realistic and then be disciplined. Just give yourself 1 year. Even if not 30 minutes every day, just be disciplined. 30 minutes every day. By the time you've read this thing for 1 year, you will be fine. You will scale through by the glory of God. That's the way. That's what Dr. Idowu told me. And I told my wife. And so far, the formula has not failed. In fact, each time she scores on a very high level. She scores so high that people don't beef her. As in people that are accountants. People who are accountants, people who study statistics, like they beef her, die. Instead of saying, my sister, congratulations, welcome to the club, then they beef her. Because there's some people who wrote these exams 3, 4, 5 times before they pass. So that my wife just entered now as a complete jambite. First level, she cleared it. Second level, she cleared it. Third level, she will clear it by the grace of God. People don't beef her. So discipline and then give yourself realistic study timelines. So, how did I enter here now? Where was I? So, we're talking about Shinorambo now, whose business is in the financial services sector. Oh, by the way, those of you who are in financial services, I'd like to hear from you guys. I'd love to do some more work with you people. So, if you're in financial services space, you're in wealth advisory, things like that, you're trying to grow your business, you're having issues connecting with customers, call me. Send me a WhatsApp message, send me a text message on 080-6466-2140. Let's have a chat. Whether you want to use podcasting as a marketing strategy or not, let's have a chat. And I remember how I got here. So after my wife passes her exam, and after we achieve 1 or 2 things, as a family, when we get together and we start doing our own business in the financial services space, this is one way that we're going to break into the market. So I've used it for my own consulting services, although we're not going to use organic growth strategies anymore, because organic growth takes time. I've been doing this podcast, for 6 years. So when it's my wife's turn, we're not going to make this a 6-year journey at all. We're going to use paid growth, but that's a topic for another day. So yes, it's a good strategy, and it's something that I'm definitely going to use again when my wife is getting ready to go into business. So I've done it with me. We're going to do it with her. So again, those of you, financial services, what else? Wealth advisory, blah, blah, blah. Reach out. 080-6466-2140. Call me, send me a text message, send me a WhatsApp message. Let's chat. So podcasting is a very good strategy for putting yourself out there when it comes to these kinds of business. But the problem is this. A lot of you hear the podcast. Podcasting sounds sweet, it sounds sexy. And you assume that it's a done deal, that when you just start the podcast, that the thing will just grow on its own. Unfortunately, that is not the case. If you're trying to use podcasting to put yourself out there, you guys come up with a promotion strategy from day one. From day one, you have to come up with a promotional strategy, because if you're making a podcast and you're not promoting it, nobody is hearing you. Believe me. The first 3 years of my podcasting, I didn't promote the podcast. When I started promoting in year 3.5, the growth of my podcast doubled. Yes, you have heard me correctly. I can't remember the numbers, but the progress I made in 3 years from not promoting, by the time I started promoting small, 5 months, 6 months, the growth of my podcast doubled. Let me say it again for those of you who are not clocking what I am saying. Right now, my podcast is over 4,000, I think 200 subscribers or something like that. That's on Spotify alone. Okay, on YouTube, I only just started the YouTube newly, so it's still new. Maybe only like 200 subs or something. And I can't verify how many subscribers I have on other platforms. But hear me now. I didn't just start and then I got 4,000 subscribers. No. For the first 3 years, I didn't promote Gang. I didn't promote Shishi. When I started promoting, within 6 months, my podcast growth doubled. And today, here I am. We're in year 6 now. I think I'll look for the figures and talk about it again on some other podcast episode. So, if you didn't hear me clearly, let me say it again. If you make a podcast and you are not promoting it, nobody is hearing you. Or at least people are not hearing you as quick as you want them to. So, we have to come up with a way to promote the podcast, with a way to promote. Hear it, please. Because people are going to invest lots of money in microphones, in studio time, in setting up guests, in doing this, in doing that, the right formatting, podcast hosting, this, that, and then you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy for promotion. So please, promotion is key. If you're in Shino Rambo's situation, promotion is key. Now, if you're going to promote your podcast tools, what you need to do is you need to create collateral to promote the podcast. Some of you will say, create collateral how? Especially those of you who are familiar with me, you'll be saying, are you not being a hypocrite? Well, in a sense, you're correct. Because those of you who follow me, like on LinkedIn, for instance, you know that I don't create collateral. I didn't create nothing. What I do is I record a podcast episode like this one. Then when it's done, I just copy and paste the link, and then I just put it on LinkedIn, and then I just hit send. That's what I do. So I don't create anything. So some of you will say hypocrite, and you are correct. Yes, I'm a hypocrite. I'm not doing it the best way that I can. And the reason why is because, honestly, to create other kinds of things, videos to promote your podcast, audio snippets to promote your podcast, different texts, different images to promote your podcast, man, it's work. And it was a lot of work for one person to do, especially if you didn't have the skills back when I started this thing 6 years ago. But now with AI tools, it's a lot easier. So I've just gotten into the habit of just carrying my link and then sharing it on WhatsApp, carrying my link and then sharing it on LinkedIn. So that's all I do. But please don't follow me. What I'm doing is not the best way. I beg. Okay? What I've done has worked for me, but it is not the best. It is not the best at all. Okay, good. So now I've confessed to you guys. So those of you who meet me online and say, but you're not doing what you advise us to do. Yes, it's just because I'm being lazy. All right? Now, with AI tools, this is what you're going to do when you get your podcast. You're going to use AI tools to create this collateral that you use to promote your podcast. All right. Now, there's something. My kids like this because I remember the first time we wanted to design something online, and I told them, just use Nano Banana. They begin to laugh. They say, use what? I said, use Nano Banana. They said, what is that? I said, bring my phone. I said, look at it. That's Nano Banana. And then they started laughing. So they like that word, Nano Banana. So yeah, it's a funny name, but Gemini has Nano Banana, and you can use Nano Banana to design correct images, solid images, powerful images. But what you have to do is you have to learn how to prompt to do that. So if you want a picture of a man sitting on a 3-legged stool on the back of an elephant, eating pounded yam while a monkey is sitting on his left shoulder. You can design it. You just put it there as a prompt, and then the thing will design it for you, and the thing won't be too bad. So, to take advantage of all these things that I'm talking about, learn how to prompt. Okay? Learn how to prompt. Last time, learn how to prompt. A prompt is an instruction that you give to a computer so that it will give you the result you want. So, learn how to prompt. Fortunately, for nowadays, especially for these AI tools, prompting is just a matter of typing out sentences. So, you hear that thing I described. Let's say you create a podcast episode, you want to promote it, and for that, you need an image. In fact, let's do it now. You will say, I'm the host of a podcast called the So and So podcast. I just published an episode that is about this, and that. To promote the podcast episode, I want to create an image of a Nigerian man in a rural setting, sitting on a three-legged stool on the back of an elephant. The man should be eating pounded yam and egusi soup with chicken meat, and perched on his left shoulder should be a monkey with a black eye patch. Then send. If you do not believe that what I'm saying is possible, rewind what I said now. Type it out word for word into your AI tool, into Nano Banana. Nano Banana is free. Gemini is free. The reason why I recommend Gemini is because it's free and it's already on your phones for those of us who use Android phones. Type it. You will see that the output, go bad. It will be impressive. It will be impressive. So, you use Nano Banana on Gemini to create images to promote your podcast, so that when you're now talking about your podcast on Instagram, see, latest episode dropping today, then you now put the picture. Yeah, link in bio. You're promoting. The reason why we're promoting is because we want people to listen to the podcast. If we are putting out a podcast, not just even podcasting, if you're doing any kind of long form content and you're not promoting it, nobody's paying attention. If you have a blog and you're not promoting your blog, nobody is listening. I hope you're hearing me. If you're doing LinkedIn lives every single Friday or Instagram lives every single Friday and you're not promoting your lives, you're not getting as many people as possible to listen who might want to listen to it. So if you're putting content out there, I beg, promotion. So Google Gemini, Nano Banana, use that for images. Then you can also use a Google Notebook LM. Yes, again, Google. They are not paying me. Okay. I'm not affiliated with them. The only reason why I'm mentioning them is because my focus is that I want to be able to say something today, and then tomorrow you can go and do it practical and live. That's the reason why I talk a lot using free tools, because I don't want people to say, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. These tools are free. And so far, Google Notebook LM has not told me that, oh boy, you don't use us too much, so we'll charge you. They've not told me that, oh boy, this order that you put is too large, or this that you put is too this or too that. So far, anything I've told Notebook, I say, Notebook, do this thing for me. They do it for me without complaint. So maybe by this time next year, they will start charging us, but for now, it's free. So for Notebook LM, you can use that to create summaries, all right, for your podcast. You can even use it to create LinkedIn posts. So for those of you who wonder, how am I able to create LinkedIn posts every day? This is how I do it. When I finish recording this podcast now, see, you will say these tools are not perfect. It's not. Look, these things don't need to be perfect. Forget. They're capable. You think I'm Superman? For those of you who follow me on LinkedIn and you see me every day, this is the secret. It's not even a secret. Immediately I finish recording this thing, this is my workflow. I'm going to load this thing straight into Notebook LM. Notebook LM, before I even ask it anything, the thing will provide one summary. And the summaries are so good that I take the summary direct. And that is what I use and put in the description of my podcast. I say direct. The only thing I do is I change the name, because Notebook LM, the thing doesn't know how to spell my name. It always spells my name as if I'm Indian, or something like that. So I always have to change my name and put the correct spelling. Then Notebook LM, the summary that it gives is always one block, but you suppose space them paragraph so that people can read very well. This is going to be online. That is what I do. I just carry it direct. The summary where the thing give me, I just carry it direct. change my name, change the spelling, then I space them, I give them a paragraph. Then once in a while I delete one or two things we don't make sense. Because, of course, it's a machine, so the thing will make some errors. And then that's it. That is how you see my product description. So there's one guy that's been asking me on YouTube about all this. I told the guy, call me 080-6466-2140. The guy no call. If you're still listening, this is the secret. It's no secret. It's pretty straightforward. I will take this audio and just put it into Notebook LM direct on my phone. The thing will create a summary without me even asking. That is the first thing it does. You create that summary. 3 minutes. If your phone is slow, okay, maybe 10 minutes. Summary is there. That is what I use as podcast description. So for those of you who are going to start the podcasting journey, this is a very simple thing for you to do. Now, in the old days, you had to now sit and think and compose this thing by yourself. And by the way, for those of you who wonder, how do I get my LinkedIn stuff and my descriptions to sound like me? This is how. Because I'm taking this audio recording and I'm putting it directly into Google Notebook LM, of course the thing got sound like me now. In who other person's voice is it going to write this thing again? It will write all this collateral in my own image and likeness. So that's how it sounds like me. Notebook LM, the thing is free. At least as of 2026. I don't know if they will start charging us in 2027, but right now, the thing is free. It's free as hell. So get on board. That's how you create your podcast summary. That is also how you create LinkedIn posts. In fact, because I'm tired of being fancy, what I now tell Notebook LM is I say, use this audio resource and create a LinkedIn post. That is the only prompt. And then I hit send. And then before you know it, like around that kind 45 seconds, 1 minute later, bam, LinkedIn post is there. And then I copy it and then I put it in my Word document so that I can edit it. Because Google LM still cannot spell my name. Google, when I no try. My name is Tavershima, Tavershima. Then the surname is Ayede, Ayede. I've been podcasting for 6 years. I spelled my name in the first half of all these episodes. Notebook LM, Google, learn this thing. Learn it. Learn my name. Alright? There's only American names you should be able to spell. So, where was I? So I tell you create a LinkedIn post. Of course, they'll spell my name rubbish, so I have to edit my name correct. Then of course I will, use space Sam. Then Notebook LM also likes to use direct quotations and citations. I tell it to remove the quotations and citations because a lot of the stuff I say, sometimes I use Pigeon. And, if you use Pigeon now on LinkedIn, might confuse some people because, I have followers from different parts of the globe. So my Nigerian audience there, some American people there, Kenya, South Africa, so I can't be using all kind of words like that. So I removed the citations. I removed the direct quotes, and then I delete one or two things that don't make sense. Then that's it. Copy and paste on LinkedIn. Bap, that's it. So, for those of you who are lost in what I'm saying, all these things I'm saying is just promotion. You see the level of work we have to go through just to promote the podcast. When we publish the podcast episode, if people don't know that, how will they rush it? So that's the reason why you create images so that people will look and be interested and go to link in bio or link in comments and listen to your podcast. Or you create these wonderful posts on LinkedIn or on Medium, or what's this other one again? Nigerians have been using this one a lot. This one that is for newsletters. I can't remember what it's called. But by the time you write there and then people read these things, you're like, let me try this guy's podcast. Then they go and listen. So you have to promote. You have to promote. You have to promote. You can't just make a podcast and people will flock to you. It doesn't happen like that. You have to promote. So, Nano Banana for the images. Gemini Nano Banana. Then for the summaries and for LinkedIn posts, Google Notebook LM. Notebook LM is written together as one word. Then I was chilling with my kids on their own computer. Was supposed to try and do something, and then I saw something mind blowing. Google has put out a tool that does video AI production. So I saw it and I was impressed, but I said, you know what? Quite frankly, my hands are full. I don't want to learn another thing. So I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not. But for those of you who are curious. I can't remember what the thing is called, but I'll just go and check it. Just Google video AI production, something like that. The tool will come up. Then fool around with it. If you have good success using the tool, just come back and let me know. Maybe I can podcast about it using your own experience. In fact, if you try it out and you think the thing is good, reach out to me. 080-6466-2140. Call me, send me a text message, send me a WhatsApp message, give me your testimony. You can even record an audio message. If the audio message is good enough, I can upload it on the podcast just so that somebody has the people here have a first hand. Okay, no, not first hand. That's second hand. Anyway, they will hear from somebody first hand who has used the thing. Let me not talk about what I've not used. Then let me see. Okay, now that is number one, promotion. I just wanted Shino Rambo to know that as he's doing this podcast in the financial services space, very, very good idea. Promotion. If you make the podcast, no matter how well produced, and his podcast is well produced, the audio quality clean. The guy even blend music on top. I say, this guy is serious. It's not like me that just grab a microphone and then I start talking. So I just want him to know promotion. So now the next thing, I wanted to give him a warning. The podcast there, the business that he's in, because remember, Shino Rambo, he's a what? He's a COO, Chief Operating Officer. What space does the company operate in? They operate in the finance space. What are the kind of services that they want to sell? They want to sell data and they want to sell advisory services to people who want to invest in the Nigerian stock market and who want to invest in equity markets at large. That is the goal. Remember, that is the goal. But then, the podcast episodes that he has been putting so far, the guy is talking about personal growth and things like that. That's a mistake. It's a mismatch. If you're in the financial services space, you want to sell data and advisory service to certain kinds of people. If you are talking personal growth and learning and development, do you think you'll be attracting those kinds of people? Let's be real. We need to be clear about our topics from the beginning before we start this podcast. So, I am selling consulting services. But if I made this a podcast about the kind of music I enjoy, do you think I will attract people who are looking for consultancy services or who are trying to solve business problems? I will not. So we have to be clear about the topic. So my recommendation to somebody like Shino Rambo is, if you're in that kind of space, your topics should be focused around your areas of core specialty. You should be talking about data issues in the stock markets and in investing and things like that. You should be talking about wealth advisory frameworks, wealth advisory tips and tricks and strategies for Nigerian people, for Nigerian high net worth individuals or Nigerian middle class, or all these sorts of issues, Nigerian stock market. So, excuse me, I can't sit down and come up with exact topics, but these are the kinds of things you should be talking about when you are podcasting and you want to use your podcast for business, for money, to increase sales. Don't fool around with your topics. Don't fool around. Just go straight, because you won't attract your ICP. That's your ideal customer profile, your ideal audience, the people who you want to give you money. So if you're podcasting just for the sake of, say, I want to try this thing, may I just flex? Let me just feel all right. No problem. But it's for business purposes. Don't fool around with your topics. Be very clear and talk about those things only. Or else you won't attract the people who you want to give you money. So the people that I want to give me money are Nigerian business owners, obviously, who are having business problems. So, you don't have to be a genius to know that my podcast has to be about solving problems for Nigerian businesses, especially from a sales perspective. So that people who run Nigerian businesses and they are low in sales, they give me a call. Those are my clients. If I want to attract those kinds of people, but then I create a Nigerian podcast where I'm reviewing Netflix movies or reviewing Nollywood movies, how would that work? It is people who like movies who will come. So if you are in the financial services space, you want to sell advisory services, you start your podcast. Why are you talking personal development? What for? It will be people who want to improve their lives, who want to live their truest self and all know who will come. Yeah, some of those people will need your services, but it will be a hard sell. Don't fool around with your topics. Go straight. Go straight. All right, so it's been 40 minutes. Let me just stop here. I remember that this is a part two. So there will be a part three. And for those of you who are listening to this episode now, I'll try to make sure that the very next episode will be the part three. So you don't have to jump forward or backward too much to get the continuation. And so in the next episode, in the part three, we're going to continue this whole thing about podcasting, about content marketing, about how to establish a personal brand, and about how to grow your sales. So I hope you guys are having fun so far, especially those of you who have discovered the podcast for the first time. If you're discovering this podcast for the first time, I'm a nice guy. I'm very free. Reach out, call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message, 080-6466-2140. But if you're going to reach out because you're looking for free business advice, that's not a problem. Just say so clearly in the first message so that we'll take it from there. I'll know who I'm dealing with. But if you want us to talk in depth, you want us to figure out, you're having problems with marketing, for instance. You've been running Instagram advertisements. If you know they convert, if you know they click, and you want us to sit down and try and figure out what is going on, how can we rectify, how can we solve this problem, then no problem. We'll have to schedule a consultation. If you're afraid of money, don't worry. Don't worry. I get different packages all the way from 400K all the way down to 15K. So any which way, you are covered. Surprisingly, there's some people who say, I no get money, I no get money. Well, anyway, that's up to you. You be saying, I no get money, you no get money. But if I see your DP, I'll say you dey flex, and you're now using iPhone 17 Pro Max, you no get money. But meanwhile, your phone is 15. I say 15. Your phone is 5M. Continue to deceive yourself. You want to solve your business problems, you don't want to pay. You're being a criminal. You're being a thief. Anyway, so yeah. I'm open to giving free advice. Just say so in the first message, and I will answer one question and one question only. If you want us to go further, let's sit down. Let's book a consulting session. Let's hash the thing out, and I'll do my best. I'll see what I can do. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, if you'd want to connect, call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. We can also have a chat there. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other time.